Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for 12 Strong. So 12 Strong stars Chris Hemsworth, Michael Shannon, and Michael Pena, and it follows the story of 12 men who basically were the first 12 people to fight against Al-Qaeda after the attacks on the Twin Tower buildings on 9/11, and it follows them during their time where they face incredible odds as they try to make a lot of attacks on Al-Qaeda, and basically they group up with another group of people who are in, I believe it's Saudi Arabia, or it's one of those countries around in the Middle East, and they team up with that group, and they basically, they're known best for riding these horses. It's a really weird story where basically they used horses to go into gunfight occasionally, and they rode horses to get from place to place, but really they're best known for basically what is considered the worst attack on Al-Qaeda ever. Basically, it was right after 9/11 too, so it was a huge centripetal force for America at the time. So it was a big significant event, but it went classified for quite a while, and not a lot of people knew about it. And I believe the public started hearing about the attacks around 2012, I believe it was, or sometime around then, and the brave people who went through it were honored. And so basically the film is trying to honor those people while also depicting the true bravery that they went through and how difficult it was for them. What was really nice about this movie was going in basically knowing nothing about the story. I hadn't heard about this story. It was a story that really interested me. The fact that 12 men and, with the help of others, were able to do such, great attacks on Al-Qaeda and weaken them as much as they did, and especially the fact that they did it on horseback. I was really interested in the idea of the story, and I was just excited about the fact that I didn't know anything about it, that I was going in with fresh eyes. And I must say that while this story is quite interesting, it is overall too long and too full of itself, really, is what I'd say, to really become anything too meaningful or powerful. The movie can occasionally come off as pretentious just because it kind of does trade itself like it's the best movie ever. I think that was just the director, and I think he had a lot of confidence in himself because it's a first-time director. I think his name is like Craig... I won't even try to pronounce his last name, it's really weird. But his first name is Craig, I believe, and it was his first time directing, and usually a lot of first-time directors can be a little full of themselves because it's their first time directing a big Hollywood movie. Like, even Get Out had a bit of a pompous vibe to it since it was the director's first time, and because of that, you kind of do get that with 12 Strong, but I wouldn't say that was the biggest issue for the film. I think the biggest issue is the fact that the film told the story, but it kind of failed in being structured as a movie. What I mean by that is that this movie is toneless. It really doesn't have a tone. When it's trying to be inspirational, it just sort of feels stale. When it's trying to be motivational, it feels stale. When it's trying to show desperateness, it feels stale. Just every single tone throughout this movie is stale. It never really has any tone that sticks with you or any vibe or feeling that feels strong enough to matter. It just kind of feels like a really weak movie that doesn't do anything all that special. It's kind of by the numbers, and it's kind of just very generic, and that was upsetting to me because this is a story that lends really well to film that I think you can make a great film out of, but overall it is just kind of too long. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes, and about halfway through the movie I was ready for it to be over, maybe even before then. The movie tries to make yourself invested in the characters, but it's not able to do that because they spend about 10 minutes on the characters, really, and you just see them at their homes, and you see how each one of them is feeling conflicted. The issue is they're all really going through the same conflict. It's leaving their family behind. Chris Hemsworth's character is sad because he has to leave his family behind. Michael Pena is sad because he has to leave his little kids behind and leave his wife behind, who's trying to act like it's not too big of a deal. And then also Michael Shannon, he's having issues because his wife is having a hard time loving him, and his son he's feeling more distance from, but it's all family conflict. You didn't get anything new from any of the characters, and then as it went went on, you never really got scenes where the characters were talking like they should. You basically just got a lot of scenes of them talking about military information with each other or with certain leaders, and they talked about the plot a lot, but they didn't talk normally a lot. There's one scene with Michael Pena and Chris Hemsworth where they're sitting by a campfire and they're basically talking about history and their previous professions, and that was interesting to listen to, but it didn't provide too much for their characters. And I think if you had more scenes like that, this movie could be more impactful because you care about the people going into it. But unfortunately, the movie never really builds its characters up to be strong enough, no pun intended. All in all, 12 Strong is a movie that I think a lot of people will like. My parents enjoyed it. I know there are a lot of people out there that liked it. And it's not overall a terrible movie. It's just, it definitely could have been better if more attention was paid to making the characters as interesting as possible. Unfortunately, because of that, you just have a movie that's quite stale. I will give 12 Strong a 4.25 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for 12 Strong. What are your thoughts on this film, or what do you think of this event? Do you think that it could have turned out as a better movie? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.